Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beef. We not only talk about everyday problems, we talk about everyday solutions.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Jimmy Raider.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as we were talking, you're like, you know what? I got to hit play here. We usually can't get by without like 2 sentences going by before you got to record on the thing. It's just who I am.
Go ahead. Tell everybody what.
I was just talking about the fact that I'm going to be starting another podcast. I've made the executive decision.
Not the cheating part. I mean, the TikTok part.
Yeah, well, my name on TikTok is Jimmy Raider, obviously. Obviously. I don't go by Jimmy ever, by the way. Like, that's never been a name that I've ever liked. But it worked, and it was available, and I'm Jimmy Raider on TikTok.
Why it'd be available?
Oh, come on, man! There doesn't even need to be a number after it. It's just still there. Like nobody took that. Nobody took that.
When did you start TikTok? I refuse. By the way,
I don't really. I really haven't been as active as I've wanted to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I posted like 1 or 2 things, and my kids were like, "You don't get it. That's not how you post a TikTok."
You're not supposed to be there. That's why.
How do you post it? I don't know.
You're not supposed to be there.
But people are there. Everyone's there.
They are there.
We got to get it.
Everybody's there.
We got to get it.
Go ahead. Do it. I'll never know what you do there, by the way. So
open an account so I can. I don't even know if I can tag people. I don't even know how this thing works. But I'm figuring it out. I like it.
I have a thing that, like, where the kids are supposed to hang out, I leave that to them. It's like, I'm not going to be, I don't want to go there. You go there, though, Jimmy Raider. Yeah,
and Bob, this goes back to your lack of promotional skills.
Oh, I know. My lack of any skills, social skills. I don't want to, No, I just so associate. You know what it is? I have a relative of mine who came and this person is like on TikTok all the I'm talking about like kind of my age-ish. And I'm like, what are you on TikTok for? Oh, it's so fun. And you watch people dancing and this. I was like, I don't, why? What do I don't like? I don't know. I like learning videos, but I don't like just, pure like dancing. But I guess, if you're a Raiders fan and sports fan.
I mean, it's from a sports perspective. And I don't use, like I said, I don't use a lot of TikTok, but I'm going to try. I'm going to get into it. I've got it. I'm going to get it going.
Yeah, you got to do it. Because
what I like on the reels and the videos in general, because I usually am more like an Instagram, looking at those sort of stuff, and then do the videos and the reels and things, is I like Raider stuff and I like comedy. It's just stuff to make me laugh. Little snippets and stuff like that. I like sometimes a couple dog things that are funny. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's where we're going to blow up. Is on TikTok.
Hey, you never know.
Who cares? Let's give it a whirl. Okay, so Jimmy Raider. Check out Jimmy Raider.
Yeah.
What is it? TikTok? Jimmy Raider?
It's at, I don't know. I don't even know. Just
TikTok.
It's Jimmy Raider.
Go to TikTok.
Not TikTok, Bob. Not TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah. What would did I say TikTok?
You said TikTok.
What would I be? What would be a good name for me? I wonder. I don't know.
Let's see.
Bobby something.
Bobby Star Trek or something? Like,
no, I'm not that big of a Star Trek.
Yeah.
Bobby. I don't know. Let's think
Footsie.
about that.
It would be Footsie.
Man, that's got to be taken.
It's right over your shoulder.
Bobby Footsie.
Footsie's got to be taken,
Footsy's
of course.
Yeah. But, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. I like it. I like it. All right. So we got to pick up from last week because we haven't been good at the teasers, right? Like we do a teaser and then it takes us 3 weeks to get to it. We're going to pick up at road rage. I actually have a lot of things that are on my mind that have been bothering me this week. How about you?
Yeah, I have too.
You do.
I have too, and I don't want to. Okay. I don't want to hijack because we got to talk. We got to talk road rage first. But I'm going to let you. Give me a little bit. But there's a lot that's happened this week. School started, for example.
Oh yeah.
Okay, my son turned 16 tomorrow.
Ooh. Yeah.
These sort of big monumental events.
Big.
Yeah. But
mine are small.
Yeah,
mine are small. Well, I've decided actually that road rage is not that big of a deal. But I where we left off was that I've learned some things in my life, right? And not getting mad on the road is, I think, one of them, because I used to when I was in my 20s, man. Like I'm a justice warrior from a standpoint of like somebody's doing something wrong. You want to call them and like honk the horn and, give them the finger, whatever you're going to do.
Let them know. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm not, though, is a good fighter.
It's tough. So it's like middle finger 90 miles an hour and you're out of there as quick as possible.
I am great at getting the crap beat out of me. Like that.
Like you do it, and then if you pull up next to them, you don't want to look at them. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah, a few fights I've gotten to in my life. Like, a couple in college. Like I got this big mouth, and then I'm like, somebody like calls me. I'm like,
I didn't mean it like that, but sorry.
Sorry. This is what happened with road rage. A couple of times. One time I remember, guy, this drives me crazy. It just happened to me again, actually. When two lanes are merging, right?
Yep.
And there's a sign that says
yield.
There's a straight one and then there's the one that's merging in, right?
Always.
And then the person that zooms in from behind and the one that's merging in and cuts you off, right? Oh, that drives me nuts.
Happens all the time.
Because there's no explanation other than you're a jerk, right? Again, like there's some things that people do that there's like
you don't understand road rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's
that's
like
unlikely.
Just being a jerk. And so anyway, this happened to me many years ago. And what did I do? Of course, I like honk and I give the guy the finger, right? Okay. And I figured that's okay. I got my point.
That's okay. I got it out of my system. I'm better now. I felt better. Yeah.
This guy, so he immediately jams over to the right. And so I pass him, right? I'm like, this can't be good.
This isn't going to be good.
Jams back in. And he is tailing me, but I mean really tailing,
he's
like,
pissed,
angry
he's
tailing,
got
he's got problems. And I'm like, ooh, I got an unstable one here, right? Yeah. So
I poked a bear. Yeah.
I poked a, and then I start taking a closer look. I'm like, that's Big Bear. That's not going to be good. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to drive him to my house. So I think to myself, this is
because in your head, I'm not going to drive him to my house. He's going to murder my wife and children. Yeah. Everything's done. We're gotcha.
We probably wouldn't. He would just beat the hell out of me in front of them, which would not be surprising to them, but still.
They'd probably laugh a little bit, right?
Yeah. What did you do? Yeah. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I thought this was actually pretty clever. I'm sure I'm not the first one to think of it. I'm going to drive him to the police station. Right? So
I think that's pretty clever as well.
Pretty good, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go in the direction of the police station. So I go in the direction of the police station and I'm like maybe 3 lights away from it. And he must realize what I'm doing at this point, right? And of course, there's a red light and he gets out of the car.
He did not.
He did. And he's every bit as big as I thought he was. And then some, right?
Yeah.
So
I've never had this happen. Keep going.
So he comes up to me and he's mad, and I roll down the window. And before he could say anything, I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I lost my head and I'm really sorry. And he goes, thank you for apologizing. Because he walks back to his car. I was like, is it as easy as that? Because normally this is where I get my ass kicked.
Yeah, right. You're envisioning him grabbing you by the collar, pulling you through the window, right? And he's like, okay.
Yeah. I know the next part of this story, right. And but no, he nicely just gets in his car.
Wow.
Drives away. I'm like, maybe there's something to this. Right? So this was my lesson. I'm like, you can't really teach people something because if they did something, they did it for a reason. And either like there's very few people that don't know, like, okay, if you are driving and you make a mistake, right?
Yes.
And you make a mistake. What's your reaction? Your reaction is, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I'll throw my hand up and like, sorry about that. Whatever. Yep.
So if they don't do that, then they either meant to do whatever they're doing, or they don't know what they did, and you're not going to teach them a lesson. So road rage is a complete and colossal waste of time. This is what I'm saying.
I agree with the ending to this.
Right?
Absolutely. I still wonder why it happens so much. Like
it does.
I go back to, because this is how my brain works. Like, why do we get so angry? And you know what I go back to? The fact that we were always told as children, never cut in line. Right? Like never cut in line. That's just against the rules. You're in a line, you ever cut in line. Like when we were young, it was like, okay, you had your line leader and then you had your line and anybody cut in line, you'd always get like defensive. Driving's the same way. Right?
It is.
It's like, don't cut in line. Don't
And
cut
people
me
are
off.
always
Don't cut
cutting
in
in
front of
line.
me.
Yeah.
And everyone's cutting
People
in
always
line.
cutting in line.
And it always pisses people off because at a young age, we're taught it's supposed to piss you off. You're not allowed to do that. You know, that's the only rationale I have why,
it's true.
Why road rage happens to the extent that it does. I mean, people go a little overboard sometimes, but
I did learn something that is worth telling our viewers because this is a real rule of the road that I was not aware of. My water bottle just popped.
I wondering what that was.
Did you hear that? It was like, you know, like, I don't know what, it must have warmed up. Anyway, that's what it was. So this is a real rule of the road that I didn't realize. Okay, so if you're merging onto the highway, were you aware that you're supposed to go all the way to the end and merge every other car at the end? Like,
no, I was not aware of that. So you're saying there's 3 lanes and the one all the way on the right kind of merges in.
Or when you're entering the highway. Let's just
entering the highway, right, or whatever.
Right.
And you're supposed to continue all the way down to the end. And people get mad when people do.
Correct.
But you're supposed to do that and then go every other in. Oh, yes, I don't think anybody knows that rule.
I always used to get mad at that, but I read that is a rule. Now, they need to teach some of these things, God forbid, you know, in driving school or whatever. But and it makes a lot of sense when you think about it because it's supposed to be like a zipper. Right. So like if you end up cutting in early, you actually block traffic and you slow it down. So by going all the way to the end of that merge and then every other car goes, it's a zipper and then it's supposed to go freely. And so now I've been doing that forever, but people do get very angry with me.
People don't know.
They think I'm trying to cut in, but I'm just following the engineering of it, but nobody knows. It's like, would a sign kill anybody to, like, you know what I mean?
Like let them know. Because right now I look at it, right? This is my perspective is I'm looking at that going, all right, well, they told you to merge like half a mile ago. Why are you riding this thing all the way to the end, right?
You think it's a cheat.
And especially when there's traffic, then you're like, oh, this guy's just, you know, taking as much space as he can get or she can get and going all the way down to the end, right? Yeah. But see, just show a picture of a zipper. I think the zipper analogy
is great,
is visual and it's perfect. Yeah.
It's all they need to do. Yeah. It's like every merge have a sign with a zipper, and then everybody would know. Oh, okay, that's I think it would solve a lot of problems. See, we're about solutions. And this is a solution.
I like that.
So there you go. Okay, then I had another car thing. Okay, that I'm going to rip through all my stuff because I'm so I
keep
got so
going.
many in
Bring
my
it
head,
to me.
and then I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so my next one is drive-thrus. Okay, so we touched on this very, very briefly when we were talking about all these environmental people, right? That tell you can't use your gas this and you can't use your gas that, but that they're all in line in the drive-thru at Starbucks. You can't get out of the car. And I mean, the drive-thrus are out the door. So I, not necessarily just for environmental reasons, I do try to do what I can. Like, I don't like wasting energy. And so if I don't have to sit in my car and idle and I just get out of the car and I go, and I go interact with a person or two, that's great, right? So I figure I'm going to do that, right? And so this is what I always do. So I go to my local Dunkin' Donuts, and there's a line of cars, and I'm not going to sit and idle in that thing. I'm going to go inside, right? Yeah, walk in.
Stretch your legs a little.
So I go and I do that, and I wait, and I wait,
and they wait on the
and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait. I'm telling 10 minutes. Nobody.
Even an acknowledgement? Like,
not even after
a moment,
maybe
sir,
8 minutes, it was like, be right with you. And then they get right back on the
and they're doing the drive-thru.
And so finally I'm getting upset, as I tend to do. And I'm like, should I get back in my car and drive into the
Oh, Bob.
Which they didn't like that at all.
No,
like,
of course. I'm not sure if that's the best way to approach it.
I think it was a great way to approach it.
I know you do. That's why we're different.
but isn't it right? I mean, like...
You are correct.
I'm correct, right? Like, why should everybody in the car get a priority over someone who's at the register? Like, Bob, it's a zipper,
treat it like a zipper. I'm just going to say that, Bob. Treat it like a zipper. One and then the other. One and then the other, right? Yeah. If we could just live life more like a zipper.
Man. Okay. So that's my solution for that. If you work at a place where there's a drive-thru, zipper.
Just work zipper. Just one and then the other. Okay. One and then the other. One and then the other. Yep.
All right. Now, my last one, then I'm going to shut up.
Okay. No, this is good. I like the zippers.
These are good, right?
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of environmental, and I know you know this one. You shop on Amazon, right?
I do.
All right. So you know how much we live in an area where plastic bags are like...
I know where you're going.
Evil, right?
Yeah.
All right. So they make you bring your own bag. And of course, everybody's guilting you to.
I think that's a location thing, by the way. I don't think all. Not all states. It's not all Connecticut thing, right?
Yeah, Northeast, whatever. Yep. And I hate the whole thing for a number of reasons, not the least of which is if you're bringing your own shopping bags to, the grocery stores and you're putting raw meat into those, this is not a good thing to reuse over and over again. Okay. Yeah. But what drives me even crazier is that we have to do this, yet the stores are packaging everything in plastic. And when I shop on Amazon, how much plastic waste is in the boxes and the contain and this and that. Okay, so then to top it off, have you ever returned anything at like Whole Foods with Amazon?
Not at Whole Foods, but I have at other places.
Okay, so Amazon owns Whole Foods and they have their kiosks. And so you go to the kiosk, you have to do it all yourself, of course.
Okay.
But you go and there's everything you return, there's a plastic bag. By the way, you're not allowed to shop with plastic bags in that store.
But you have to put the item in a plastic bag when you return it?
When you return it, you have to put it in a plastic bag, put it in, and it's a big plastic bag. Wrap it up, put a label on it, and put it into the drop box. And it says now, so they must have gotten complaints. And they catch on to the fact that, maybe this is wasteful. So they say, if your item is already in a bag, you don't have to put it in another plastic bag. But then so that's like a sign. But the computer prompt says, put your item in a plastic bag. Is it in a plastic bag? If it's not, like they tell you to grab the bag,
come on, use plastic, use plastic.
And so,
come on.
so I'm waiting. So of course, now I'm waiting at the kiosk. There's someone in front of me. She's got like 100 returns, not really, but and every one of them, she's grabbing it in their plastic bag. Now, I don't care about because of the plastic bag thing, but it's slowing everything down. Yeah. And there's a big sign right in front of her face saying, you do not have to put things in a plastic bag. And all of her stuff is already in a prepackaged plastic bag. That's like, it was like, all right. So I said, ma'am, very nice, No, I did. This wasn't like a Dunkin' Donuts situation. Yeah, I said, ma'am, you don't have to put that in a plastic bag. And she turns around and she's like, it says to put it in a plastic bag. I said,
that's when you just should stop. That's just when you should stop
because I was going to say,
I know.
Do you see that sign right in front of your face? Read that, idiot.
Bob, you are growing though. You are getting better
as a person because I didn't say that. I said. Instead, I said, okay. And I waited.
Now, the tone of your okay could have been a little bobbish.
No. It was literally like, okay. Because she was a little older than me, and I felt like, I still have that respect thing, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
If she was younger than me, I'd be like, you idiot. Do you know who I am? No.
So the plastic bag thing is I'm going to level up one on you.
Please.
When I go to the grocery store, I put all my apples in a plastic bag. I put all my oranges in a plastic bag.
Me too. I do too.
I wrap my meat in a plastic bag for the very reason. Even more so, I sometimes may double it because I've got to reuse the bags I check out with. Yes. So I want to make sure it doesn't leak.
Yes, that's right.
So my plastic bag consumption, when people just take like fruit, like sometimes my wife will grab like bananas or some apple and she won't like put it in a bag. And I'm like, what are you doing?
My wife does the same thing.
I'm like, what do you got to put it in something. You don't just throw that on a conveyor belt. I'm not going to eat that later. Like you got to wrap it in something.
That's right? What she does. She'll take like 3 apples and put them in this disgusting bacteria-ridden bag. Yeah.
What are you, nuts? You lost your mind?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of a person are you? But
I was raised on that. Like you
put it in a plastic bag.
And here's another whole thing. I mean, who designs those plastic bags for fruit? How many hours do you spend like trying to?
It's so funny because I remember when we were all wearing masks and I couldn't get these bags open. I didn't want to blow on them because everybody was paranoid about the air in your mouth. And I was going like this like forever, trying to find what end is it,
rubbing it. You got to see me.
And then you drop an apple in and then it splits on the bottom because it's like oh son of a
goes right through because it's 1 mil thick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what happens. Me at that trying to get those plastic bags for fruit is a hysterical scene for me, because I am sitting there getting frustrated. I can't, first of all, like, which side is open, I don't know, right? Then when
sometimes they rubbing, like you're looking,
like I'm starting a fire, I'm like rubbing the whole thing.
I am the same way.
Oh God! But then I'll always do that. And my wife, meanwhile, she's picked out 20 fruits as I'm trying to get the bag open.
But they're all rolling around in the cart because none of it were in a bag.
Yes. What is wrong with you?
What's wrong with them? We're sitting there trying to open bags. They're just throwing them in. Something's wrong with someone in this picture.
It doesn't feel right. I want my fruit. I want to know all my oranges are here.
I want it contained.
All my apples. They're going to mix up the oranges and the apples. I might get confused.
Exactly.
It doesn't
Especially
work.
like an apple. Like if I'm eating the skin, you got to protect that a little bit. I'm sure it's been through, a whole lot of pesticides and other stuff, but I still don't need it rolling around on my dirty carriage.
Yeah. Even though, like when I pick out fruit, I'm literally squeezing each one. It's actually.
Oh, me too. Yeah, everybody's hands have been on probably the food you're eating, which is why people just buy them and just eat them and don't wash them first. Like
which reminds me of one more thing. Okay, this is it. I promise.
This is great. Keep it going. What do you got?
All right, because we go back to Starbucks now. Or Dunkin' or any of these.
Yeah.
Okay, I never order on the app.
Okay.
You want to know why?
No. Yes, I do want to know why.
You're going to know. I'm going to tell you. Here's why. Okay, so because I go into the store and I get my order that way, I'm waiting at the counter for the order. And I see other people like me waiting at the counter. And there's a lineup of the mobile orders, right?
Okay.
Okay. And so every time someone comes in for the mobile order, what do?
They turn the cup and they
pick up the cup by the top, by the way. Not like they pick up the cup by the top, they turn it around and that's not mine. And they put it back. And then they do it again. And they've literally touched every single drink on that counter. And I'm like, first of all, how hard would it be to put them so the names are all facing out? That's number one.
They're busy.
Number two, how hard would it be for a person to look at the name without having to pick the thing? But they're manhandling every single cup. And I'm like, there's no way that I am ordering mobile until they clean this thing up.
Get your act straight. You sound like you're 86 years old. You get it together, people.
That's right.
Okay. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
I sometimes there's those little plugs in the tops, right? Because really it's about like, I don't want my mouth on somebody else's palms, right? Like that's basically what you're saying. Like you don't want their hands all over your stuff and all sorts of stuff.
But the plug, you don't like sip it right out of the little hole. You put your whole mouth on it. You have lips, right?
I don't know how you drink a coffee, but you really get after it.
My mouth is bigger than this, millimeter by millimeter rectangle.
True.
No, there's no getting around this.
Maybe a good solution would be to like lift the counter so that when people, because right now, at least the Starbucks near me, I do order online sometimes at different ones. I don't get a lot of Starbucks these days, but it's a little low. So in order to see it, like you'd have to really get down and look, whatever. Yeah. But if it was a little higher and people could just walk in and sort of see what the names are on it, you'd have a little something different. That's an idea. Or there's just some sort of protective lid you need to put on these before people get them, right? Some like an additional little
Go
thing
stand at the register. That's another thing. Like, it killed me during COVID. People were crazy with this. Oh, everything was the mobile order, right? And then people come in with their masks and then come in and they pick up every drink. And I'm like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, when you
no sense.
100%. But you are going to run into other issues.
Then you know
longer
how I feel
lines. You're going to have time. You're going to have all sorts of stuff, and then you're going to go less.
The whole thing is crazy. So anyway, there you go. Okay. All right. So there's a solution on this one, and then it's going to you. The solution here is stop picking up the drinks. Like, and if you're going to pick it up, like do it by the base.
Yeah, do it by the base please? Or something. I mean, right.
It's and you don't have to read it like at your nose, right?
Maybe they do. Maybe they're blind.
But I don't want my drink that close to. So anyway, it's never going to be my drink because I never do it. Never. Yeah. There you go. So
I like that.
Oh, all right. I think I'm all done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, thank you. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know where to start. This has been amazing.
I told you, it was all pent up today.
It's great. It's great.
All kinds of things.
And there's a lot going on, but I'm going to for today, probably stick with the common theme, because my boy is 16 tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. Tomorrow's his 16th birthday. It's going to be a good birthday. He's going to be happy. But
this means he's getting a good gift.
Yeah, he's getting some good stuff. But this isn't about the gift.
It doesn't matter because this won't air before then anyway.
Oh, that's true.
No, you don't have to tell anybody. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Just in case. It feels weird, doesn't it? Okay, I got it. He's going to like that.
Yeah. He's going to like that one. Anyways.
Well, anybody on the podcast is like, what's happening?
Yeah.
He's pointing at something.
Yeah, I'm pointing at a towel behind me. A Raiders towel behind me.
All right, but anyway. So apparently he got his 16-year-old son a Raiders towel.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's going to love that. Yeah. Go ahead.
But the thing is this, like, I don't even know how to, that's why I want to talk about it today, because legitimately tomorrow he's 16. He should be able to start the process of getting his driver's license, right?
Oh, boy.
And we just talked about a couple of things, right? We talked about sort of the road rage aspect of things, knowing the road rules, all stuff like that. And here where we are, you can get your permit at 16. And then 6 months later, or if you're in driver's ed, 4 months later, you could then go for your driving test to actually get your license.
Yep.
And then for the first 6 months, you can't really drive anybody outside of an adult that's over a certain age that can be in your car, like a parent or something like that, even though you have your license and you have a curfew. And then
you can't drive at night, right?
You can't drive after, I think, 11 o'clock at night or something like that. And then another 6 months, all you could do is have a family member. Right. Yeah. And then after that, you can drive people around. So you're doing the math. You're like 17 and a couple of months and, whatever, until you can actually drive other people, which I love the rules. I love the restrictions. I love the fact that they're being more cautious with it. Because when I turned 16, I got my license. I got a bang up beater that I was driving around and I bounced that thing off everything. I'm not going to lie to you.
I think it's a good rule too, to be honest. It's not like overly restrictive, but it's like basically saying, hey, take a little time to learn, right? And that, to me, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
But no one follows these rules.
Oh,
and this is my problem.
Oh.
Nobody in the towns that are around, everybody says they do. I mean, everybody on social media is like, oh, yeah, I love these rules. I think they're great. And then my son's in a car with them, and I don't realize that their age is. And I'm like, what's going on? And, and all this sort of stuff. Nobody follows them. And we're getting to, the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to do this with my son. I'm going to follow these rules. But it's going to be difficult because 0 people follow them. Now, they may in those first 6 months, be more cautious but everybody believes that you can do family members right away, and then kids can, other kids can come in. So I don't know what to do. So I've got this scenario, right? I've got a bunch of questions here, right? I've got this scenario, like, what do you do? How do you kind of support that? And the other piece is, I've got 2 16-year-olds. And as much as it'd be convenient for them to be able to drive around because they can get to their sports because they both play sports.
This is true. Yeah,
it adds a level of convenience.
Yeah.
But they can't drive their siblings, so they can't even drive each other.
Right, for
like almost the first year.
You got to follow them.
So I don't have enough cars for that to put one sibling in each car. I got 3 kids in the house that are all in high school, So it's like this struggle that I have. It's like there's these rules which are great that I believe in, that I think we have to keep everybody safe because, you're young when you have your license, especially with all the distractions, things like that. And I'm like, okay, let's have these kids drive, but I don't have enough cars for each kid to drive themselves individually. And
which I imagine is why people break the rules, right? But I mean, I can tell you when my son went through this, this should be no surprise, but I did enforce the rules. Diligently. I was like, I knew what they were. Yeah. And I said, I've forgotten until you said, to be honest with you, but now it came back and I was like, there was no way he was breaking whatever the rules were at the time. He had to follow those. And yes, I agree with you. There are other parents that were like, oh, he's going to just take the car. They don't think anything of it. They don't even know the rules. They don't care about the rules.
They don't know.
And I was like, no, you're going to follow. And one of the reasons, besides the fact that I too agree that they're good rules, if they do get caught, and let's face it, there is kind of a high probability that a kid that age is going to get pulled over because they're learning, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
And they can get in trouble. Yeah, they can lose. I mean, they're going to haul them off to jail, but they'll lose a license, big fine, whatever else. I mean, and the insurance, forget it. And that's another thing to be careful.
That's another stress that we have.
Yeah, like if he does get caught breaking the rule, your insurance is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. So that's a pretty big deterrent, I would think.
Totally agree. And I'm totally going to enforce. We're totally going to enforce it.
Yeah.
But we're totally not in a rush. My stepson turned 16 in April. He doesn't have his license, and we're talking about he needs a car to get around. But I'm like, okay, but do you think he's going to follow the rules? Do you think he can't pick up his sister or drive his sister anywhere? He can't do anything like here.
Yeah.
Plus, they're going to have a car, which the insurance is a whole nother thing, right? Insurance comes right on as soon as he turns a certain age and gets his license. They're either going to, the insurance knows, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to increase your rates because he's on your cars, or you got to get him a beater, so that he could be insured on that car, and hopefully it'll be less because our cars are in a different state than his car would be, right? I can get him an old beater and it'd be less. So you almost are forced to get them a car at some point to lower your insurance rate, because otherwise they're just going to put them on, our cars, which would be a better cars.
Truthfully, the beater doesn't save that much because we did that. And it's, what they worry about is the liability of injury. And that doesn't matter what type of car it is. So, if they injure somebody or injure themselves, that's where the money is, right? So,
but there's also a higher risk that there be an accident. And if you have a car that's a newer car,
for sure.
There's a higher risk there, obviously.
For sure, yeah. But I mean, I will tell you this, and speaking of it, my daughter is turning 18 this year, and does not have her license.
She doesn't.
She does not. And I've been thinking about it from a different standpoint. I've been actually very, very satisfied with this because I am a worrier, as you know. And I also, we know our kids. See, this is another thing that parents are always like, they almost bully each other, right? One up each other, whatever. Like that. Oh, your kid doesn't drive yet? Oh, mine's been driving since. Okay, that's good for you. But your child, right?
Exactly.
And I know my child. My child is very little attention, right? She's scared to do it. I mean, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, but at the end of the day, there are things that I know my kid, and I don't think that she would be a good driver until she's comfortable driving.
Such a good point. Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with that. And but I do feel like a bad parent because I'm like, should I be pushing it more? Should I be?
No.
Selfishly, I don't want to, but at the same time, should I? I don't know.
And good for you, because there's also this stress around all kids should be treated the same way, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I have it in my own house, right? Yeah. Kids are different. They have different needs. They act different. They're going to be better at this or worse at this. But we gave it to this one, so we got to give it to that one. No, you don't.
No.
You have to give it to them when they're ready. Every kid is individual, right?
That's right.
And there's this thing, and God bless you for making that decision of saying, hey, it's cool. She's not pushing forward. I know that she's this or that, and we're comfortable in this scenario. But we, in this house, it's a little crazy, right? It's a little crazy in this place when you have 3 high school kids at the same time.
It's a lot,
2 of them are going to be 16. One of them is 14. It's just a lot of running around. We've got cheer, and we got football, and we got baseball, and we got 3 different sports. And heaven forbid they're on the same team or anything, right?
You can't have that.
No.
Right.
But it's a lot. So you you give in, but you give in so many times that it's like, what are you doing? What's really best for each individual kid is where the focus needs to be,
That's exactly right.
And that's hard sometimes. It's hard because you're trying to manage life at the same time,
They all mature differently. They all have their own different needs. And, I think that's okay, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's okay. But, we have a neighbor that moved in not too long ago, and they have kids that are similar to ours, right? I would say, socially, adjusting a little bit later in life. And it makes me feel better, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I know that we're doing the right thing for our kids based on their needs, based on their personalities, whatever else. And I'm proud of them and I'm happy with that and everything else. But there's a lot of social pressure.
For sure.
A lot of social pressure from other parents. It's tough. But
and inward, right? And it's just inward. We give the kids a lot. We let them have, we let them do, we let them, we give them what they ask for more than sometimes what we think they need or should have.
Yes,
and that's right. Part of the problem with where we are, I think, with raising kids and doing things for kids. And, all these people are turning around and saying, oh, the phones, darn TikTok. Well, take it away. If it really is something you're going to complain about, do something about it, right? Yeah. And if you're really worried about them driving, you're really worried and fearful, then don't have them drive yet. Like, give it to them when they're ready, when you feel they're ready as a parent and can do that. Not just to take something off your plate, right? Not just to babysit your kids is the reason why you shouldn't just have given them an iPod or an iPad when they were 3 years old or a phone when they were young, right? And for this very same reason, we need to look at driving and different things. Give it to them when they're ready, not when it's convenient for you. That's just that. I guess I went right to a kind of a solution in this scenario, but it's making me nuts because it is going to be a couple of of things we've got to manage. 2 16-year-olds when they're ready. They're going to have their license. They're going to be able to drive, and managing the rules is something that we've got to stay strict with because it's going to be very easy to say, oh, just go pick them up. Go pick up your brother. Go pick up this one. Go pick up your sister on the way because you guys are there and you're a mile from us right now. Just drive right home. It'd be easy. But
that's a tough one, James. I have to tell you. And the other thing I would say for parents, and this is, we always talk about what our kids need. You know what? Here's what I've learned being a parent of now older kids. They don't know what they need. All right. Don't look to them. They have no idea what they need. And what you think they need, if it's based on what other people are doing, it's probably not what they need. Right. You know what they need? They need to feel good about themselves. Yeah. That's what they need. And I'm 100%. Not saying this from a standpoint of I've done that right. In fact, I think I've done that wrong. It's funny. We were talking about the phone thing a couple episodes ago, and we were talking about the bag, you were talking about the schools the
Yonder bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So not long after that episode, my daughter doesn't watch this, but she came to me and she's like, it was end of summer. And, she had all these plans for the summer about things she wanted to do. And of course she didn't do a lot of them. Right. Mm-hmm. And she came to me, she says, I want to have some type of a lock bag or lock for my phone. I said, okay, why? I just want to be able to put it down. Like this is literally like an alcoholic saying, she's going to keep me away from, Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, okay, listen, you just give it to me. I'll take it from you. And I said, but this is a real problem. She goes, I can't stop playing the games and this and that. And then all the things we talk about, right? Mm-hmm, my friends are texting and then there's drama and then I get upset and then and all of that stuff is causing me not to do the things that I want to do. Yeah. And I said, okay, so I just got done saying kids don't know what they need. In this case, I think she does, right? Well, but what I'm saying is before, as a young kid, she thought she needed the phone, because everyone's got a phone, I need the phone. Turns out it's exactly the opposite of what she needed, right? Yep. It's exactly what she needed was guidelines and boundaries and, a parent who said, hey, go do stuff and make yourself feel productive.
And good for her, right? Yeah. But she's a rare one. Like I'm just going to say right out loud, that is a rare statement for someone to say that and to acknowledge that. I think the general feeling that I have is we expect more from them to know what they need. And my experience has been that we're expecting more than we ever had in the past, but they are less mature than maybe they have in the past.
That's right.
So that combination of things of saying, hey, you know what's best. You'll know when to put down phone. You know how to manage this. You know how to manage that. With stifling, I think, a lot of other things that has stifled their growth, things that have happened throughout their young age, could be a variety of different things. Yeah. And I don't think they're as mature and ready at the ages there are. The combination of those two things is dangerous. It's still really scary.
Dangerous. And listen, here's the thing. If you agree with me that kids need to feel good about this, like they need to do things that make them self-esteem,
is one of the
right?
biggest things.
Yeah, yep. I think so. Right?
Of course.
Name me one thing that a phone does to help in that situation. Where does a phone ever help with a kid's self-esteem? There's not one instance that I can think of, right?
No.
All it does is make them feel bad about themselves. That's what a phone does. It makes them feel bad about themselves because they're either spending too much time on it. They're looking at other kids that have these unrealistic filters and this and that. Phones make kids actively feel crappy about themselves. It's not a good tool. Yeah. I wish I could do that over again. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the one thing I will say that I'm sure people would think of too is, you know what? It will make them, their search for the same thing that you're saying. Their search for high self-esteem is by likes, loves, approvals, views, right? I get caught in a similar trap. It's not for me. It's for our show. When I post things and I'm like, ooh, where are we? And what are the metrics? What do the analytics look like? The data that's available on any of the videos or anything that's posted out there is through the roof now. So that's what they're looking for. And 9.5 times out of 10, maybe even more, you're not getting it.
No, or you're not getting it. It's whatever, right? Yeah,
you're not getting what you're looking for. You want it to be more, so you're going down this negative path.
Yes, that's right.
And
it's
that's
negative
just what happens.
For your self-esteem.
For sure.
It has the opposite effect of what we should be doing for our kids. So we're giving them something we think they need. We're giving them something that everybody else has. And once again, we've been duped by corporations who are trying to get us addicted to bad things, right? Like, kids don't need phones any more than they need cigarettes, let me tell you. Okay. Yeah. They just don't. I'm sorry. There's nothing positive that they do for them at certain ages, right? And even at adult ages.
It comes in.
Like I said,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt.
So there's the answer I would give. Like, do what's right for the kid, and that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to.
Cool. Good.
I don't know.
All right, I've got to say one more.
Yeah, go.
And this is just more of a rant more than anything else. This back to school stuff's crazy.
What part?
Everything. The lists of things you got to buy, craziness of driving these kids around. And I know this goes back to what I was just saying about the license and helping out, but oh my goodness. Like school started here about a week ago. Yeah. And the amount of things that go on after school for 3 hours, like, they got school and then they got bus over to this place to have 3 hours of gymnastics to do this. And by the way, you got to pick them up here. You got to do that. Okay, fine. Well, you got to sit, you got to wait, you got to do all this driving, you got to go around, you got to find time for food, you got to find time for homework. Then you got to pack the lunches because lunch is a fortune now in schools and they have everything. They got like a sushi bar at half these freaking high schools now. I'm like, what are you doing?
The card
and then they just let you just go depleted by like $100. I'm like, oh, by the way, you owe us $100 because your kid was having filet mignon for lunch yesterday. I'm like, what?
And
how about we just say no and give them a peanut butter and jelly? Yeah. That's what I had every day for lunch.
Why are they failing gym? They can't move. It's like,
exactly.
It's ridiculous. But I will tell you, is your school like this too? I can't stand starting about a week and a half before school starts. My district is email crazy.
Yeah, nonstop.
I mean, nonstop. I must get 5 to 7 emails a day. For maybe that is a little exaggerated. It's not that much. Yeah. I mean, at least 5 emails a day from the school, various different places, teachers, and each one of them is like a dissertation,
a mile long.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And then if you miss something, like, it was in the email. I'm like, I can't read all of your emails. I don't have time. Like, I work.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what are you kidding me?
I get the same thing, and now now my son is in a different high school than my stepson, right next door, but a different school. So I got twice as many. So I'm getting this, my son's stuff, I'm getting my stepson's stuff, I'm getting all these lists of things, I'm getting all these things we have to do. We have to be ready. I got to manage picture days in two different schools for the kids to be ready to go. Right now, picture day is like a week after school. You used to ease in for a month or so before we used to have, pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, I can't even manage that piece. And then
that's right.
It's nonstop. And then my wife last night is like, I got to go shopping. What do you got to shop for? School supplies. Doesn't the school handle school supplies?
No, are you kidding?
Not even close.
They're not even close.
And then it was over another expense, over $100 that she had to go out and spend. And that didn't even include the TI-83 that is the same calculator that we had when we were. That's still over $100. That they require.
Going, right?
It's just the same one, right? It's nuts.
But the thing too about the email is they break the golden rule of business email that we should all know, is that if you want something done, do not send it to multiple people, right? Like you can copy people if you want to, but if you send it to 3 people, no one's going to do anything because everyone thinks they don't know who it's to.
The other one's going to do it, right?
This is what they do here. Like they send it to the kid, to both parents. It's like, I don't know who's acting on it or who's not, right? Like, what are we supposed to have a conference every night about your emails?
100%.
Or here's something you could do. You can actually, I don't know, teach the kids. That might be something, right? Yeah. Instead of just sitting on your email and having us do all the work.
Which brings up another thing with these sports. like I got my kids in these different sports, and they're like, oh, we're gonna tell the kids about the schedule, and it's their job now that they're in high school for them to communicate with you around when you need to be at practice, or when they need to be here, or when they need to be there. Well, let me tell you something. I got 15 and 16-year-old boys. They don't communicate.
Right.
They're one-word answers. They don't talk to me. They wake up on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock and they're like, oh, yeah, Dad, I got to be at practice in 15 minutes. And I'm sound asleep. Because, and I'm like, what? When did you know? Oh, I just found out. And meanwhile, it was in a calendar that my son only got or my stepson only got. And I'm the one paying the consequence.
That's right.
Let me know about it.
Everything's on the parents. Unless we want to know what the curriculum is. Then we don't get involved in that. Listen, we'll teach your kids what we're going to teach them, but you have to do everything else, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how about, can I know what they're doing at school at least? No, that's common for them. That's privileged information. Yeah, right? I'm sorry. But they're there like 6 hours a day. Can you tell me what they're doing? No, I'm sorry, we cannot.
Ask your child to share with you.
Yes, please.
Ask your child to share with you, because that's how you create a great kid, is if you're interacting and you're learning about what they're doing.
Yes.
It's the whole thing of, oh, we've got to, we're going to leave it on the child. We're really going to have them be a leader by letting them be responsible for telling you these things. It's a cop-out. My kid is a teenager, and if I need to bring them somewhere, I need to bring them because they are too young to get there themselves.
Right.
Somebody please, an adult please tell me where they need to go.
That's right.
An adult please tell me what they're learning in school. Somebody please communicate, because you must not know children if you're asking for 14 and 15-year-old and 16-year-old kids at this point in time. That hormones are going crazy. They've got all sorts of stuff going on. Their schedule is nonstop. To communicate with me, to tell them to bring them where they need to be to be there for practice.
Yeah. And by the way, while you are communicating it to me, if you would bother to do that, do it in a sentence, please.
That's it.
It doesn't need to be 12 paragraphs, right? It's in one sentence saying, here's what we need today. Right?
That's right. That's right.
But no.
So with all these communications we're getting, we're not getting the ones we need.
No. And by the way, now, what's starting for us is college stuff, right?
Yeah,
so she's a senior, and so we got to do. So that's probably something we should talk about next week, because
for sure.
That's a whole other thing. We've covered a little bit of college on this show, but I think it's worth covering a little bit more.
No doubt. We'll cover a little bit more. We'll cover more and more as my 16-year-olds grow up, because they're both juniors in high school, so they're getting there too.
We'll be able to talk about college for a long time. Anyway, but I think in the meantime, let's see once again.
Time's gone already.
When we're negative, everything goes quick. This is the way to go.
It's a good negativity show this time.
Good radio. Good radio. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We're out of time. We try and keep these to about 45 minutes. That's why I'm kind of being a little abrupt, because otherwise we'll just keep going, I think.
Yeah, we would.
But we'll save some for next week. But while we're doing all that and thinking about what we're going to save next week, we would love it if you could subscribe, comment, tell us what you think, tell your friends, help us spread the word, and get the message out there, because this is important stuff. Important stuff.
It is important stuff.
It'll
make the world better if we bring it to light and solve.
So it's up to you to help us with that. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this. And while we're all doing our work, we will see you back here on another episode of
Beyond the Beef.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks, guys.